I'd like to talk about control and influence. And the first thing I'd like to look at is circles of control, influence, and concern. Now, this model demonstrates that there are only so many things that we actually have hands-on, complete control over. There's an outer layer of things that we have influence over, and then there's a further outer layer of a circle of concern where we need to know about these things, or it's useful to know, but we can't directly impact on it. So if we take that into an example as lifted from the internet, you can control your thoughts, your choices, the words you use, your reactions and actions. You can influence the atmosphere of a work environment. You can influence the reputation by doing good things, and so on and so forth. But then the bits where you may have concern over, you probably don't have any real influence and almost certainly no control over. So things that happened in the past, can't change that, can't control that going forward. What's done is done. But also things around the economy, activity in the world, wider activity in the workplace. So you may not have any immediate impact if there was some big change happening in the workplace. Although that said, you may be in a position where you can influence upwards to the people that are making those changes. So if I look at the circles of control, influence, and concern, definition of each one, the controls that we have are the quality of our work, the ability to meet deadlines, the standards we maintain, the language we use, and the way we behave. Areas we can influence, we can raise risks, we can highlight advantages, disadvantages, we can agree priorities, we can guide, steer, and coach others in certain directions. Where we have concern, we should stay informed, plan contingencies, try and anticipate to avoid wasted effort. But again, we may be limited on what we can actually do regarding the things in our circle of concern. So if you're in that middle circle and looking to influence, what are some of the various influencing techniques that we see in the workplace? Well, first there's empowerment. You can give others an activity, you've empowered them to do it. So they're adopting that suggestion, that idea, and then they're taking control over it. So planting the direction you wanted to go and then giving it to them to do, you're kind of influencing people into a certain direction. There's interpersonal awareness, genuinely listening and tailoring your approach so that you can influence people in maybe a more effective way than just a one size fits all blanket approach. Bargaining. If you do this, I'll give you a bonus, I'll give you a pay rise, I'll give you a promotion, I'll give you a day off. Great way of influencing people to do things. And it's quite prevalent in the workplace. The better we do, often there are rewards on the back of that in various shapes or forms. Relationship building. In one of my other sessions, I talk about having a vision of the team and good engagement with the team. If you can build good relationship with your stakeholders, with your peer groups, they're more likely to buy into your ideas or at least listen to them, even if they don't wholly accept them. Organizational awareness, tap up the people that you know, maybe the other side of the fence, that can champion your change. I've worked in unionized environments, and the importance of getting a union rep on side that may be able to influence the members is a real good tactic for getting things over the line as effectively as possible. So if you're going to present something to a panel of leaders, for instance, and you know there's one leader on the team that likes what you're talking about, get them on really on board so that when you've left the room, they're going to be championing your cause on your behalf, even though you're not present at that point. Have a common vision, set that vision. As mentioned, I talked about some of this in a previous session, but having that common vision, you're all in it together, you all have the same end goal. That's going to influencing people to be effective. Impact. If you look the part, be the part. It's the way people perceive people is very interesting. If you exude confidence and you're able to arouse emotions, we see it in certain political leaders, very good at arousing those emotions, and they influencing people into adopting certain approaches, shall we say. I have seen some people who look the part, but are they actually the part? But they are so convincing in what they say, a lot of people are suckered into thinking, oh wow, that's correct, and it might not be. So be mindful that some people that exude that confidence aren't necessarily always right, but hopefully they're in the minority and not the majority. Use logic, probably one of the most common and prevalent ways of influencing people, providing statistics, providing data sets. It's quite a good persuasive way of getting people to buy into what you're selling to someone. Working in an environment of HR and people, I'm always conscious that if you take numbers alone and take it out of the context of the culture and the people, you might be missing a trick. So my HR head is always, yeah, the statistics, the numbers are great, but what else is there behind the scenes? So if it is dealing with people, I'd always advocate just looking at the wider context rather than just what's the bottom line here. And the final item, coercion, you might think, "Oh, that's quite a negative word. We don't want to use coercion as an influencing technique." And I think that there's a lot of merit in that view, but we do see coercion in all walks of life. Coercion in the workplace would be there are certain policies, certain values we're expected to behave to. So if our natural default was to be a violent, aggressive person, we know there'd be consequences for that action in the workplace. So we are coerced into behaving in the right way. Hopefully, none of us are violent, aggressive people. We also see it in the public space where if you're driving down a road and you're prone to speeding. Hopefully, you're not, because you know the consequences of potentially fatalities and such. But if you are driving at 50 miles an hour in a 30 zone, those speed signs coerce you into reducing your speed because you know that you could get points on your license or lose your license if you get caught. As I say, hopefully you're driving at the right speed because you're aware of the safety consequences. But it is an example of coercion if for those people that just follow the speed lines because they know they're going to be told off if they don't.